You can quote every line of Damon's sarcastic one-liners, recall the exact moment Stefan first revealed his fangs to Elena, and name every doppelgänger that walked through Mystic Falls. But if you think you know the Salvatore family, all of it, you're wrong. The Salvatore name carries more darkness than the Lockwood cellar, more secrets than Katherine Pierce's diary, and a forbidden history that even the oldest vampires in Mystic Falls have tried to bury. Only the most dedicated will dare to dig it up. Only the ones who've noticed the small things. The faded sigil on the Salvatore mansion's front door, the line in Stefan's journal about grandfather's terrible bargain, the way Bonnie's magic flickers when she steps into the attic, will understand why this history was sealed away. Join us as we rip open those sealed chapters, as we walk the halls of the Salvatore mansion after dark, and as we reveal the untold legends that change everything you thought you knew. Let's start with the sigil. You've seen it, even if you didn't realize it. In Season 2, Episode 8, when Damon ransacks the attic looking for the Gilbert device, the camera lingers for 3 seconds on a wooden chest carved with a twisted symbol, a snake coiled around a cross, its fangs sinking into the wood. That's the Salvatore family's true crest, not the harmless coat of arms hanging in the dining room. The sigil dates back to 1792, when the family's first patriarch, Michael Salvatore, not the Michalson Michael, this secret ancestor was erased from town records, made a deal with the Travelers. The Travelers, we know from the show, could manipulate magic and break vampire curses. But Michael wanted more. He wanted his bloodline to survive the Great Purge of 1864, when Mystic Falls planned to kill all vampires. The prize, a yearly offering of a human life, bound to the Salvatore land. Stefan's journal mentions grandfather's bargain in a half-scratched entry from 1863, but the show never told you what it cost. Michael's own daughter, Clara, who was sacrificed to the Travelers to seal the deal. That's why the mansion's basement smells like old blood. Why Bonnie's magic sputters there. Clara's spirit is still tied to the land, and the sigil is the only thing keeping her from lashing out. You thought you knew the 1864 vampire hunt too. The show told you Katherine fled, that Stefan and Damon were shot by their father, Giuseppe, and that the town buried the truth. But here's what they left out. The Salvatores weren't just victims, they were collaborators. Giuseppe didn't shoot his sons to protect the town, he shot them to silence them. Stefan had found Clara's diary, which revealed the family's deal with the Travelers, and he planned to tell the town's witches. Giuseppe, terrified the Travelers would retaliate if the secret got out, chose to sacrifice his sons instead. Damon, who already knew about the bargain, he'd caught Giuseppe leaving a body in the basement, didn't fight back. He let himself be shot because he thought death was better than living with the family's guilt. That's why Damon has always hated talking about 1864, why he drinks to forget more than just Katherine. He's not running from a lost love. He's running from the fact that his father killed them to protect a murder. Then there's the hero of the Salvatore family. Jonathan Salvatore, Giuseppe's brother, who the town remembers as the man who fought vampires during the 1800s. The truth is far darker. Jonathan was a vampire himself, turned by Katherine's mentor Pearl in 1850. He used his hero status to hunt down other vampires, not to protect Mystic Falls, but to steal their blood. The Travelers' deal required the Salvatores to offer pure vampire blood every decade, and Jonathan was the one who collected it. He'd lure vampires to the mansion, kill them, and drain their blood into a hidden vault, the same vault Damon found in Season 3 when he was looking for the White Oak Stake. The show never explained why that vault was lined with spellstone, because it was warded to keep the blood fresh, to keep the Travelers happy. When Jonathan died in 1890, his body was buried in the mansion's backyard, under the oak tree where Elena and Stefan first kissed. That's why the tree died in Season 4. Jonathan's vampire blood poisoned the soil, and the Travelers' magic kept it from regrowing. These aren't just fan theories. They're clues the show left for the truly dedicated. In Season 5, when Elena and Caroline dig up the oak tree, you can see a small tombstone half buried in the dirt, engraved with a JS. The show never mentions it, but it's Jonathan's grave. In Season 6, when Bonnie casts a spell to cleanse the mansion's magic, she says, There's something old here, something angry. She's talking about Clara's spirit, not just generic dark magic. Even the Salvatore Mansion's address, 2004 Maple Street, has a hidden meaning. 2004 is the year Michael Salvatore's deal with the Travelers is set to end, and Maple Street is named after the tree that grew over Clara's first grave. So here's the question. Are you ready to stop just watching The Vampire Diaries and start understanding it? Are you ready to learn what the showrunners didn't tell you, what the novels only hinted at? This isn't for casual fans who tune in for the romance. This is for the ones who pause episodes to read the text on old letters, who Google Salvatore family sigil after seeing it for 2 seconds, who wonder why the mansion's attic is always locked. To join us, you don't just need passion, you need proof you're a lore master. Tell us, what year did Michael Salvatore make the deal with the Travelers? What was the name of the vampire Jonathan Salvatore killed to get the first pure blood? If you can answer those, you're in. We'll send you exclusive scans of Clara's diary, pages the show never filmed, a map of the mansion's hidden vault marked with the same symbols Bonnie saw in Season 3, and a live Q&A with LJ Smith, the author of the original Vampire Diaries novels, who will confirm the Salvatore backstory she created but never got to publish. This is your chance to go beyond Elena's diary, beyond Damon's one-liners, beyond the episodes you've rewatched 100 times. The Salvatore family's forbidden history is waiting, and it's darker, sadder, and more thrilling than anything you've seen on screen. But be warned, once you know the truth, you'll never look at Stefan's good guy. Act the same way. You'll never walk past the Salvatore mansion, even on screen, without thinking about the bodies in the basement, the blood in the vault, the spirit in the walls. Are you a true lore master? Prove it. The secrets of Mystic Falls are calling. The Salvatore named darkness didn't start with Stefan's first kill or Damon's deal with Katherine. It began over a century before either brother drew breath in the muddy fields of 1692, Mystic Falls. When the town was still a cluster of log cabins and the founding families weren't just elites, but guardians of a secret older than the colonies themselves. Giovanni Salvatore, the first of his line to set foot in what would become Mystic Falls, didn't come as a farmer or a merchant. He came as a fugitive, fleeing the witch hunts of Europe with a leather satchel clutched to his chest. Inside that satchel was a small carved stone, stolen from a Celtic altar, etched with runes that glowed when held by Salvatore hands. This stone, and the promise it carried, would bind the Salvatores to Mystic Falls' supernatural heart forever. Giovanni arrived to find 3 other families already building the town: the Gilberts, the Lockwoods, and the Fells. Each had their own secrets. The Gilberts brought maps of hidden caves where they'd seen shadowy figures move at night. The Lockwoods carried a journal about their family curse, a hint of the werewolf gene that would later tear Tyler apart. The Fells brought Bibles bound in leather that repelled vampires, a skill they'd learned from European witch hunters. But Giovanni's secret was the biggest. The Celtic stone, he told the other families, was a ward. Could keep the town safe from the old things. Spirits that haunted the woods, creatures that drank blood, magic that twisted minds. In exchange for letting him stay, he offered to use the stone to protect Mystic Falls. The families agreed, and the first town square was built around the spot where Giovanni buried the stone. This wasn't just a town foundation, it was a pact, and the Salvatores were its first keepers. Giovanni's life in Mystic Falls was quiet, but his nights were not. He'd sneak into the woods to meet with a woman named Brigid, a Celtic witch, the last of her tribe, who'd stayed in the area after European settlers arrived. Brigid taught him to read the stone's runes to sense when supernatural danger was near. She also warned him the stone's protection came with a cost. It feeds on loyalty, she told him. If the Salvatore line ever turns from its duty, the stone will fail, and the old things will return. Giovanni took this warning seriously. He wrote it in a journal, bound in his own leather, and hid it in the floorboards of his cabin. That journal would pass through Salvatore hands for generations, until Stefan found it in 1858. Its pages yellowed, its warnings faded but clear. Giovanni's grandson, Marco Salvatore, would test that warning in 1750. Marco was greedy. Caviar, he'd heard stories of gold in the woods, hidden by Spanish explorers, and he thought the Celtic stone could lead him to it. He dug up the stone, ignoring his father's pleas, and took it into the woods. That night, the town was attacked. A pack of shadow wolves, larger than any normal wolf, their eyes glowing red, invaded the log cabins. They killed 3 people, including Marco's younger sister. When Marco returned, the stone was dark, its runes gone. Brigit's granddaughter, Morrigan, found him crying over the stone. "You broke the pact," she said. "The Salvatores were supposed to protect the town, not use it. Now you must fix it." Marco spent the next year hunting the shadow wolves, using a silver knife forged by Morrigan. He killed the pact's leader, but the damage was done. The other founding families began to distrust the Salvatores. The Gilberts stopped sharing their cave maps. The Fells refused to let Salvatores into their church. The Lockwoods stopped talking to them altogether. This distrust would linger for a century, until Giuseppe Salvatore, Stefan, and Damon's father tried to prove the Salvatore's loyalty by hunting vampires in 1864. Marco's daughter, Elena Salvatore, a name the family would reuse, unknowingly tying to the doppelgänger who'd later changed Stefan and Damon's lives, was the first Salvatore to see the future. In 780, she had a vision. She saw a fire consuming the town, saw vampires being shot in the square, saw 2 Salvatore brothers standing on opposite sides of a fight. She wrote this vision in Giovanni's old journal, adding a note: "The Salvatores will be the town's ruin and its salvation. It depends on which brother chooses loyalty." Elena's vision would haunt the family. Michael Salvatore, her son, the one who later made the deal with the travelers, read it dozens of times. He thought the ruin would come from the vampires, so he made his bargain to protect the family. He didn't realize the ruin would come from his own choice to sacrifice Clara. By the time Stefan and Damon were born in 1846 and 1839, the Salvatore legacy was a web of secrets, a buried stone, a broken pact, a vision of fire, a deal with travelers. The brothers grew up hearing whispers of family duty, but no one told them the truth. Stefan thought duty meant being good, being the son Giuseppe wanted. Damon thought duty meant survival, being the brother Stefan needed. But both were carrying the weight of ancestors who'd fought, failed, and sacrificed to keep Mystic Falls standing. The Salvatore story isn't just about 2 vampire brothers. It's about a line of people who were never just ordinary. They were keepers, liars, heroes, and sinners, all bound to a town that needed them as much as it feared them. When Stefan and Damon walked the streets of Mystic Falls, they weren't just living their own lives. They were living the lives of Giovanni, Marco, Elena, and Michael. They were fulfilling a legacy that began in 692 with a stone, a pact, and a family that would never be free of the supernatural. This is the Salvatore history no one told you. The one that explains why Stefan couldn't stay away from Mystic Falls, why Damon fought so hard to protect it, why the town felt like home even when it was killing them. It's the history of blood ancient, supernatural, unbreakable, that ties the Salvatores to Mystic Falls forever.